All right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. So in this video, I want to talk about the German giant Markus Ruhl. So Markus Ruhl was really one of the first mass monsters in bodybuilding. He came in kind of on the tail end of the Dorian Yates era in the late 90s and early 2000s was really where he was at the peak of his popularity. So he stood only 5 foot 10 inches tall, and at 5 foot 10, he weighed between 310 and 330 pounds in the off season. So this is the equivalent of 140 to 149.6 kilograms. So his stage weight at 5 foot 10 was between 271 and 280 pounds on stage, or 123 to 127 kilograms. The measurement of his chest was a massive 58 inches, or 147.3 centimeters. So that's a pretty damn big chest. That's just really thick and really big. So very impressive chest measurement. But the problem that Markus Ruhl would frequently run into during his competitive career was the size of his waist. His waist size was pretty out of control. So his waist measured a 38-inch waist, or 96 centimeters, which is a very large waist. Even for somebody with as much muscle as Markus had, a 38-inch waist that's a pretty big gut to have on stage. So that's one of the things that really threw off his placings, and kind of probably contributed to the fact that he didn't really place that well throughout the majority of his career. So he actually got started with weight training when he was a soccer player at the age of 18. He started training in the gym, and he realized how quickly and easily he was putting on muscle, and that's really what got him started in bodybuilding. And obviously that was a good career choice for him because he was known, again, for being one of the biggest and freakiest guys on stage, aka one of the earlier mass monsters of his era. So the first Olympia that Markus Ruhl would compete in was the 1999 Mr. Olympia, and he was actually disqualified from that Mr. Olympia for using a banned diuretic. So back in those days, you know, the IFBB, they weren't really drug testing for anabolics, but at that point in time, they were trying to crack down on diuretic use because that's what they found to be one of the more dangerous drugs. So Jay Cutler was another guy who would end up getting popped for diuretic use, and Jay Cutler would end up suing the IFBB to kind of get his second place placing reinstated. So originally, Markus Ruhl would have placed 10th at the 1999 Mr. Olympia, but he was disqualified, so his placing was removed. But at the Olympia that Jay Cutler was disqualified from, Jay Cutler was second, so he had a lot bigger reason to be suing to get that placing reinstated. So Markus Ruhl, it probably didn't really matter either way because he placed 10th at that 1999 Mr. Olympia. So in 2000, he would compete at his second Mr. Olympia. He would move up 3 placings and place 7th. Then in 2002 would probably be the most noteworthy win of his entire career. He won the 2002 Night of Champions. He beat guys like Bob Ciccarello, who placed 2nd, Paco Batista, who placed 3rd, Darum Charles, who placed 4th, and then you had Craig Titus, who placed 5th, and Paul Dillette, who placed 6th. So he beat a lot of guys that were actually pretty good, especially in 2002. Some of those guys were at the peak of their career and at the peak of their kind of competitive physiques. So he did pretty good at that 2002 Night of Champions. And that 2002 to 2004 window was probably where he peaked in terms of his physique. So in 2002, he also placed 2nd at the Toronto Pro. At the 2002 Olympia, he placed 8th. And then at the 2003 Arnold Classic, he placed 3rd. But keep in mind, the Arnold Classic is a massive show, and he placed 3rd behind Jay Cutler, who won the show, and Chris Cormier, who got 2nd. And he actually beat Dexter Jackson, who got 4th, and he also beat Kevin Levrone, who placed 5th. So he beat a lot of good guys in that show. Also in that lineup, Darum Charles, who placed 6th. Melvin Anthony placed 8th. So coming in 3rd behind Chris Cormier and Jay Cutler is not a bad place to be at that 2003 Arnold Classic. So he was right up there in the top of the heap as far as professional bodybuilders were concerned in that 2002 to 2004 window. So 2004 would actually be his best Olympia placing, so he would place 5th place in 2004. And then fast forward to 2006, which is the video that you're going to be watching right now. So 2006 was probably the most controversial placing and controversial show that Markus Ruhl was ever involved in, even considering the 1999 Olympia that he was disqualified from. So in 2006, he competed in the Austria Pro Grand Prix. Now, you guys can Google pictures and videos of this show, but I'm showing you guys this video right here. So in this show, you had Jay Cutler and Ronnie Coleman. So keep in mind, Jay Cutler was the current Mr. Olympia. He had just won the 2006 Mr. Olympia competition. And at this show, he went head-to-head with Markus Ruhl and Ronnie Coleman. Now, a lot of people actually believe that Markus Ruhl should have placed a lot higher than 3rd. So the final placings were Jay Cutler in 1st, Ronnie Coleman in 2nd, and Markus Ruhl in third. However, many people say that this is the best that Markus Ruhl ever looked, and possibly the worst that Jay Cutler and Ronnie Coleman looked. Neither of them were looking very impressive at this show, and Markus Ruhl was looking impressive as hell. So for that reason, a lot of people had Markus Ruhl placing better than Jay Cutler and Ronnie Coleman, who were not looking at their best at this show. And I would tend to agree with that. I think certainly Markus Ruhl, you could make an argument that he beat Jay Cutler, and even an argument that he beat Ronnie Coleman as well. I think he definitely did. I think he definitely deserved to place higher than third place at that show. Even though a lot of the times he would compete, his gut kind of got the better of him. He was competing against guys like Ronnie Coleman and Jay Cutler, who both were not very well known for having small waist. I mean, Jay Cutler was known for being kind of a blocky bodybuilder, and Ronnie Coleman is known for having very weird and very kind of undesirable abdominal development. So even though that his waist was kind of his weak point, Markus Ruhl was competing against two other guys who also had their waist being their weak point. And all things considered, Markus Ruhl is coming in with a lot bigger size and even arguably better condition than some of these guys. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below about the 2006 Austria Pro. Do you think Markus Ruhl deserved to place better than third place? And who do you think he deserved to beat, Ronnie or Jay? So thank you for watching the video. Please give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Nick Strength and Power, signing out.